Call the Midwife. I'm Alex.
I'm Becky.
I'm Jen. And just a disclaimer for this week's episode before we get into the synopsis, we want to let you know that this week's episode deals with infant mortality. So if this is one you would prefer to skip, please feel free, obviously. And we just hope we see you for the next one. Thank you.
So today we're talking about Series 2, Episode 2. Cynthia is woken by Sister Bernadette to attend the birth of the Kelly baby. Irene Kelly, or Reenie, gives birth to a baby boy who's later named Thomas. Cynthia is offered a dram of whiskey to wet the baby's head. Sadly, when Cynthia returns the following day for a checkup, she finds the baby unresponsive and he's died. This leaves Cynthia racked with guilt and struggling to cope. At her next home birth, she panics and abandons Mrs. Lennon in the middle of her labour. Later, she's entirely exonerated. Meanwhile, Chummy has made the decision to take up missionary work in Sierra Leone, which will take her and Peter away from Poplar for 6 months, much to the disappointment of everyone at Nonnatus house. And Jenny Lee and Jimmy bump into each other at the docks, much to Jimmy's amazement. 6 months has passed and Jenny Lee has seemingly forgotten about the dreaded Gerald and sees Jimmy in a new light. When Francine Spencer comes along late to the clinic, Jenny Lee looks after her and discovers that she's unmarried. She tells Jenny Lee that the father will do the honourable thing, and in a twist of fate, we discover that Jimmy is the baby's father. When Jenny Lee bumps into the couple outside a jeweller's after Jimmy's put a ring on it. So, ladies, shall we get to it?
Oh, do you know, this episode was so sad. Obviously, the baby death, yes, that's awful. But that wasn't the thing that made me sad, which is awful. It was Chummy and Peter. Chummy and Peter leaving. I was like,
well, when the scouts sang at the end.
You are my special angel.
I cried when she told the nurses she was going, which was like 4.5 minutes into the episode. So just, you guys know how I feel about this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so how about we do this? How about we talk about
the Kelly baby?
Do you want to do Kelly baby first, then Jimmy, Jenny, then Chummy and Peter? Okay. Oh gosh. Well, okay, so here's the thing with the Kelly baby. It is a story about that family's loss, which is incredibly sad and tragic. But it's also a story about Cynthia, who's really going through such a hard time,
Cynthia
questioning
gets
herself.
She gets dealt a difficult hand quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
She does.
And you know what? I think actually, because you had said this way early, Al, but you were like, "Oh, Cynthia's so introspective." I think that some experiences she's already had, like Margaret Jones, losing her and everything, and the whole soulmate thing. I think this is a big pivotal moment for Cynthia in terms of like another experience she's gone through that's really kind of pushed her to that, like deeper emotional place, more introspective place. And then she's going to have a couple more. And to me, this is all about the big story arc for Cynthia as she kind of goes through the series. And this is one big important piece of it. But I thought this was...
Thing is, though, you'd got to be the most resilient. I don't even think Sister Evangelina would be that resilient. I think it was obviously the baby died, which was awful to go through anyway. And Sister Evangelina was like, paracetamol and hot chocolate, bed. But the thing that I think just was like a catalyst for making it worse for her was everyone in Poplars, like all the horrible mums, because they've all got big mouths, haven't they? And they're like, oh, no, it's all right, Lavie, I'll wait for the next one. And she's like, no one wants a bar of her. And it just makes her doubt herself. And then the investigation, because Peter was there, ooh.
And I'm surprised that the mums turned their back on Cynthia so quickly, because in the 50s, I mean, it's not an everyday occurrence, but it is more common.
Well, also, they don't have social media. How did they all find out about it so quick?
Oh my gosh,
they've all been chatting in the stairwells.
Yeah, gossips is what was my thinking. Immediately the story went around, because the thing is,
it would be me gossiping.
Well, yeah, they all live on top of each other. I don't know which one, but it's one of those ones, Yeah, I think they just all told each other, and it really knocked her back. I mean, I think she felt bad initially, but then I think when she saw other people's reaction, then she started to feel even worse. And then
but also the interrogation by Peter, we've got to ask these questions. I was like, why is it Peter?
Well,
also the way Peter asked some of the questions, he was like, do you always drink on duty? Not just, they mentioned that you had a drink.
Well, he doesn't know he knows Cynthia really well. Like, he knows all the girls. I mean, he should know.
No, he could have asked it nicer. I'm with Bexy.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm critical of Peter in that way too. Like, I mean, he obviously is like the only cop that we know on this show, so he has to like fill in so much. But yeah, I mean, well, it was the same thing when he not grilled, but when he was questioning, there was another incident. Oh, it was the mother that when her baby was kidnapped, when little like Julian was kidnapped, and he questioned the mother. He was like, well, I don't know, you've had mental issues in the past, haven't you? Remember that? And he had to kind of be like the bad guy stand-in.
Maybe it's like to show how harsh the 1950s were for like that kind of thing, and mental health and that kind of thing. But also that, right, talking about mental health, actually I've got 2 points written down. Number one, this is not about mental health. The first thing is, it's the same bed sheets that Annette had when she had a baby alone, you know, and they were like, oh, it's there's thousands of people in Poplar who've got these stripy candy bed sheets. She had the same ones.
And I bet they're Winsett material.
Yeah, defo.
Oh,
they were like the rainbow candy stripe ones that Annette had, and I was like, oh, they were right. They are loads of people in Poplar with them. Anyway, that's
also, let's just be real. The prop department has like 5 sets of bed sheets, and they just change those around.
It made it work. It made it work. It tied it in. I love that. Yeah, but the other thing is when Cynthia, like obviously with, as Beck said in the synopsis, Mrs. Lennon was having a baby and Cynthia couldn't cope and just ran out of there.
Yeah.
Instead of like nowadays, people would be like, oh my goodness, how's Cynthia? Where is she? Hope she's okay, blah, blah, blah. They were literally angry with her. Like, how could you do that? Like,
Well, Sister Julian did say, she's like, oh, I this is my fault. She's like, I sent her out too quick. Because she also made the comment about, you know, like, I know how hard it is. And so she really needs some time to kind of recover for this. And she acknowledged that Cynthia probably should have not been pushed out into the field like quite so fast. So that was one at least nod to like understanding kind of the trauma that Cynthia faced by being the one who was, you know, put in her position and part of it.
Oh, the scene that really got me though is as Cynthia was leaving the Kelly house and she has to steady herself on her bike against the railings. I was like, oh, Cynthia.
Oh, but also the Kelly, because I'm from a family of Irish Catholics and we've got Kellys in our family, and just honestly, I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because it's in my family, but I was just like, oh my goodness. We don't have a Thomas Kelly though, thankfully.
Well, speaking of which, I'm an Irish Catholic heritage person as well, and we do have a bunch of Thomases in our family. Not Kelly, don't have that connection, but the thing also was I felt like that family kind of had, they didn't really go into it more than this, but the dad has a broken arm that's in a sling, and then when the baby's born, he's like, oh, I need a bit of silver to put it in its hands. I'm assuming that's another like well wish, good luck kind of a gesture, and the grandfather gives the son, well, the father gives the son the piece of silver to put into the baby's hands, you know, in the wrapped blanket, and then he says, oh, I'll pay you back, Dad. And I felt like there was also some kind of like extra tension there. So I mean,
he wasn't working,
right, so the family was going through it anyway. Oh, and then that actually ties into the end when Cynthia, she has found out that it's not her fault that the baby passed away. It was a health issue that was going to happen no matter what anyone did. But she then does her best because she knows the family doesn't have the funds to do a proper burial. And so she advocates, you know, to see if Nonana's house can chip in for it. And I mean, I don't know. Does anyone want to comment on how that ended up working out? Because I had a lot of feelings about that as well. It's kind of a side storyline in this episode, but do we have thoughts? Do I need to share them before we get going?
Well, I thought, because, I mean, spoiler alert, in a later episode, somebody loses a baby, but then the baby was born preterm. But then that baby was buried with another mother.
Okay, so here's because
it had lived though, Bex.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This one was still, but the one with that was buried with another mother was stillborn.
No. So here's my issue, okay? And it's not about the baby or the family. It's about the fact that, like, in this episode, as a little side thing that's happening, Sister Monica Joan is taking cabs to go see her family across town, and it's like, I think, a nephew and his kids and everything like that. But she's taking cabs all the time. And Sister Julian comes out as she's like coming in, and she says, oh, you know, did you have a nice visit and everything? She's like, good. She's like, yeah, you know, could we maybe just be a little bit mindful about how many cabs we're taking, because they're really, really expensive, and like, we're paying for them, but like, we don't have an unlimited budget here. And she's like, oh, you're going to tell me I can't see my family now? Like, how dare you? And Sister Julian is like, well, okay, that's not really what I said, but okay. And then she's like, what, you want me to take, I can't take the bus. Like I'm supposed to walk there like 1,500 miles. And she's like, no, I get it. There's a bus strike on and everything, but like, maybe we just be a little bit more thoughtful. Anywho's, then she actually stops Sister Monica Joan from taking another cab, like later on in the episode. And Sister Monica Joan is really mad about it and like snaps at Sister Julian. And Sister Julian is like, oh gosh. And then Sister Julian comes back to Monica Joan and says, okay, listen, I've reworked the budget. I have the funds for you to take the cabs. Take the cabs, okay? And so she's like, oh, great, wonderful, wonderful. Well, then Cynthia comes to Sister Julian gardening outside, and she says this thing about wanting to pay for the funeral. And Sister Julian is like, look, I'm really sorry. We don't have the money. I wish I could do something, but there's just nothing we can do. And then Sister Monica Joan is like, oh, well, just take my cab money, which seems nice at first. But then Sister Julian is like, well, but then how are you going to see your family? She's like, oh, well, I'll just ask them to come visit me here. And she's like, that'll be fine. They won't care. Like, just make sure there's like cakes and stuff.
Which she probably snaffled anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And Sister Julian is like, oh, okay, well then Cynthia, yeah, sure. Like we can pay for the funeral. I mean, I'm guessing these aren't very expensive, transactions, but like, I don't know. I felt so irritated at Sister Monica Joan in that moment because I was like, you've given her all this grief about your cabs when like all along you literally could have
She's
just
really selfish, Jen. She takes all the cakes. She doesn't even work hard. She's just there rattling around eating all the fecking cakes.
Oh, I was so frustrated. Okay, Bex, what?
Well, also on Sister Monica Joan, there's the point where Cynthia has basically just had a complete anxiety attack. She's abandoned Mrs. Lennon. Trixie's gone to attend to Mrs. Lennon, and everybody assumes that Cynthia is with Trixie. When they realise that Cynthia is missing, they just get into a complete panic. If you will notice, Sister Monica Joan is just in the background having a nap, completely oblivious.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't care about anyone but herself. Simple fact. She's there sleeping off a cake she's just polished off when they've been, riding 25 miles.
Yeah, really. Well, it just was frustrating because it was like, oh, like you did something that seemed noble, but it wasn't really, because really the thing that you gave was like it should have been everyone's anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah, you didn't sacrifice anything because you and also, by the way, why were you so mean to Sister Julian for the past 45 minutes when you could have just said, oh, well, why doesn't my family come and visit me every other time we want to see each other? Oh,
I still have a soft spot for Sister Monica Joan.
Oh,
I think she does get better as time goes on, but at the moment
she does, but I don't know, that really got my goat. I was like, gee whiz, lady, like, come on now. Anyways,
so one thing I noticed with the Kelly storyline, which I'll just touch on before we move on, is, and this is completely unrelated to anything we've spoken about, but Mrs. Kirk, who's Reenie's mum, when she's given birth, she mentions her bottom drawer, and a bottom drawer is something that has kind of doesn't exist anymore. But I had a bottom drawer when I was living at my parents' house and I was kind of saving up to buy my own house. So a bottom drawer is where you put things away for the future. So with Reenie, she's been putting away baby clothes for when she's got a family. Some people have a bottom drawer where they put away things for when they're getting married.
Really?
And I have a bottom drawer for when I was trying to get things together for a house.
And Becky bought a house in 1959. This is not a concept that I have ever heard from, but Becky is she's the upper echelon of society than me.
I literally collected for my bottom drawer. My mum would be like, oh, this is for your bottom drawer.
Oh, wow. See, I don't
I've never heard it, Jen.
Yeah, no, we don't have that. I mean, the closest thing I could think of is like a hope chest that we would have over here. My mom had one of those, and that usually was for things just like you said, like for either a marriage or a new house or a baby, mainly marriage and baby, I think. But yeah, it's a great idea. It's definitely a great idea. But wow. Okay, well, I'm glad you said that because I totally missed that.
Yeah, because when her mum refers to, oh, you've got all the things in your bottom drawer, she's not literally just referring to the bottom drawer of a chest of drawers.
It's kind of a metaphorical.
Yeah.
See, you learn something when you listen to this podcast as well.
Yeah, well, and I'm really glad that Becky is now 98 years old because, she's passing on a lot of wisdom from this time period.
For anyone who's listening, Becky is 41.
She's a young spring chicken, just like the rest of us.
Yes, to be fair, I've mentioned that I am also 41.
Oh, well, and I'm just a little bit older than that. So, I'm 42. So I mean, we're all basically the same.
But you don't have a bottom drawer.
No. I didn't. I mean, I wonder if I thought that. Anyways, doesn't matter what I thought it was. Okay. All right. So we're gonna talk about Jimmy and Jenny next.
Oh God. It was just Jimmy's amazement that he should bump into Jenny. He's visited her on numerous occasions. He knows the area that she works on. Why was he so amazed to run into her?
Well, also he works there too. I mean, it really had the quality of like, again, or it's like you kind of willfully put yourself somewhere where you think you might see someone, and then you happen to see them, and it's like, oh, I happen to see you.
I wondered if it was because he'd just been having lunch or something with Francine, and she'd literally just gone. So then he was like, oh, like, you know, like he'd kind of been caught out a little because he wouldn't want her to know about it because he still liked Jenny, and he was like, so I wondered if that was the case, because obviously we found out that he has obviously been having a relationship of a sexual nature with Francine, because obviously she's up the duff.
But do they work together? I got the intimation that they work together, and she was like a secretary. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
She's really lovely, and she's got really lovely hair.
I'm gonna be honest. Francine was kind of just a place filler for me. I mean, I didn't particularly feel that positive or particularly negative about her. I mean, like the thing that kind of frustrated me was, she, you know, when she said to Jenny, she's like, oh yeah, I'm pregnant, but like, he's going to do the right thing. And I just thought, oh, I don't know. There's something about that just made me feel, I don't know. And this is a topic that I know we're probably going to get into in later episodes when it's a more blatant push towards this. But like, I felt like this was something I had feelings around when Lynette was giving birth to her baby. Like, and it is the time period, and it is England, and America was the same at this point in history as well. But like, just the lack of like autonomy and control that women had over their own reproduction is really, really tough for me in this case. And like, to me, the idea that like, you know, you're going to date a guy, you're going to do stuff with that guy, and then if something happens, it's like, well, he's going to marry me. And it's like, well, now Jimmy is a nice guy, but like, I don't know. That really grated on me. And it's not Francine's fault. It's just the time.
It's not Call the Midwife's fault. It's just what happened at the time.
I know. But it's just, oh man, I'm, you know, and obviously stuff is happening in America right now, which we won't go into, but it just, I just wish there was more freedom of choice is all I'm going to say. So, and
also Francine will probably have to finish work once she has that baby.
Well, you're not allowed to work when you're pregnant either, at those times, remember?
Yeah, same in America too. You couldn't work at that point. Yeah. And it was tough too, because the way Jimmy said it, and he wasn't saying it in a mean way, but he was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of seeing someone, but you know, it's just a bit of a fling or whatever. And then Francine is obviously looking at it as like she's got this whole, you know, project of a life planned out. And
but Jenny, when she says to Jimmy that if he's not sure, he needs to be honest with Francine, she's got a cheek. She literally just rejected him.
Yeah.
Also, like, what does she's like, oh, you need to be honest, don't marry her. Then that's great then, Jenny, you marry her. And then he'll just have this like abandoned child. Like, you know what I mean? That's the child's going nowhere. That really annoyed me as well. Like, how could you just advocate doing that? Do you know what I mean?
Also, let's not forget, like, when she saw him again, she said to Trixie, she was like, oh, I don't know, he seemed kind of different. But she never either said to herself or said to him, like, oh, you know, like anything that indicated that she was actually interested in him romantically. It was more just kind of like, you know, like he has a bit of a, you know, like, oh, it's been a minute, you know, he's kind of looking a certain type of way to me or whatever. But there was no intimation that she was actually interested in him. And she had so clearly rejected him not that long ago. And it was like, how dare you presume that you think you have anything to say about this man's romantic life, whether it is a good decision for him or not. Like, even as a friend, you have to walk like, she really overstepped, I thought, in that.
Well, do you know what else really annoyed me? When they met with Francine, and he was like, oh, this is, and she was, and then they pretended they didn't know each other.
That moment was, I mean, that was when I saw that for the first time, I gasped. I could not believe, nothing in me put that together.
Why pretend you don't know each other? Like, if it were,
there was no just friends.
Well, maybe he's told Francine something about Jenny, and he wouldn't have wanted her to make that connection. Maybe.
Yeah, but Jenny didn't know that.
But Jenny instigates it. She says, "Oh, nice to meet you."
Yeah, and it really annoyed me because obviously, like, spoiler alert, they do get married in the next episode. Spoiler. But like, obviously, they're like old family friends and blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
Like, surely Jenny's parents are probably at that wedding. Was my thought. So then they're going to be. How are they going to explain that? They're like, oh yeah, my daughter Jenny's working as a midwife in Poplar. Yeah, that's how I thought they were old friends.
See, I'm thinking it's gonna just be like, like a day at the courthouse just as a piece, and then like a lunch after with like cake or something. I'm not picturing a big wedding for those two. Unless I'm forgetting
she's
something.
in the family way.
Yeah, she's up the
that was so, you guys say. That was so Poplar, Bex. She's in the family way. But baby's gonna come out ours first.
Yeah. Also, the thing that was interesting to me, and we'll definitely get in, like, this will be like completely spelled out for us in a later episode. But the thing that was interesting was, and I actually, you had said in an earlier episode, Alex, you didn't, when Lynette donated. I'm sorry. When Lynette left her baby on the steps of Renata's house,
donated it to
abandoned. Yeah, I severely apologize. Donated is not the wrong word. Absolutely the wrong word. But when we were having that conversation about like Bex and I couldn't believe that more children hadn't been left at the steps of that place, and you were like, oh, but I don't think people were as promiscuous back then, and I was like, well, no, I think they were. And this to me was kind of an example of like Jenny has very clear ideas about sexual activity, before marriage or anything like that, or it seems that she does. And clearly Jimmy does not maybe have those same ideas. And Francine, I mean, she was, she went along with it too. So I just think like a lot more people are doing a lot more, like, I think people are doing the same stuff then.
I'm going to say it does not prove your point. These two people does not prove your point. Also, can we just talk about the fact that she's called Francine Spencer, like Frank Spencer in Some Mothers Do Have Him? It just made me laugh.
What's that point? I don't get that.
Oh, that does. It's not. It's
no, that's
the British. That's one for the British viewers. I can't.
Okay, rest of the world, we've all been excluded from this reference. But anyway.
Well, no. To be honest, educated people will know. Anyway, so.
So you're calling most of our audience outside of it. Oh my. Listen, dear listeners. I'm on your side, and I am also ignorant of this obscure cultural reference. So okay, all right. So do we need to say anything about these four? I guess. Well, we see Jimmy again, but anyways, I think we all know how we feel, correct? Or do we need to?
Yeah, we're all in the same opinion.
Yeah, just go away, Jimmy. Carry on.
Okay, so this is a trope that I have seen in film, television, so many things, and I have never had this experience myself. I don't know any married couples who have admitted to doing this, although maybe this is a thing that all married couples do. Now, I did think it was absolutely charming and beautiful when Peter and Chummy did it, but in one of the opening scenes of this episode, the music is playing and the two of them are dancing with each other, like slow dancing with each other in their living room to like a record on the record player.
You are my special angel.
Don't believe that this is a thing that married people do, and maybe they do it when they're newlyweds, but I just don't think that this is a thing that married people do, but it's everywhere in culture.
I've never in my life slow danced in the lounge to a record like that, but I will say I have danced, but we tend to do like stupid dancing to stupid songs, and obviously since I've had my daughter, it's stuff like dancing to Breakfast Burrito and yum yum breakfast burrito. It's not like you are my special angel. But no,
I thought it was so sweet.
Don't lie, I did on my wedding day. On my wedding day in the hotel, we did dance to Especially For You by Kelly and Jason.
Okay, but that's your wedding day. That's a way.
Yeah, that's not just
wedding.
Everyday life.
Yeah, that's not just like Tuesday where you're just like. Now, honestly, when I saw the scene, I thought, is this what people did when they didn't have TV? Like
that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah, like they didn't have enough entertainment, so they had to fill the hours somehow. So it was like, well, babe, you just want to dance in the living room? Like we still got another 45 minutes before we got to go to bed. So,
and also to be fair, if slow dancing was like, it was slow dance. That was in, wasn't it? That was the kind of dance. It wasn't like moshing or whatever. So I suppose people did do it more. Maybe I'll start doing it. I'll let you know.
Listeners, let us know if you slow dance in the lounge with
you. That's a good one. Email us, text us, whatever.
Yes. Just a reminder, our email is recallthemidwife@gmail.com. Okay.
And we've also got an Instagram, a Facebook page, and a Twitter. And we've got some likes and follows. And so thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, look in the show notes for all that so that you can contact us because we would love to hear from people. Okay, so then Chummy goes in to the girls and she says, I'm leaving for Sierra Leone. Now, I got the sense that she basically gave them no notice. She was like, literally, I'm not going to see my patients today. I'm going to be on a train to Manchester within 12 hours. And I just thought, you really you can't give them like a week? That shocked me. I mean, I know it was
the missionary life, Jennifer. She needs to go.
She'd been called.
Exactly. Call the missionary.
I think it was for dramatic effect, but I just was like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe you just literally left them high and dry with no.
Or had remotely discussed it with them beforehand that it was something you were thinking of.
No, and by the way, like, let's not pretend that like all of this didn't happen like with time to give people. I mean, it's not like you got an email that morning and they were like, please be on a train that we booked for you. Like, she literally got a letter, and then she had, you know what I mean? Like, everything is happening so slow in the 50s because there's no technology. Like, clearly there would have been time to like give them at least a heads up. I'm like, you didn't even tell Sister Julian? Like, nobody knew that you were just gonna go. And then also, like, I mean, the expectation that she's going to come back in 6 months, I mean, they're historically understaffed. So like likelihood is that they will definitely have a place for her in 6 months. But I'm like, wow, talk about like, you would never do that at a job today. I don't think, but I cried when she said she was going.
Peter being worried about having to pass the medical because he's a roly-poly. I love the way he said he was a roly-poly, and he loved, what did he say?
He's like, I do love a jam biscuit. You know, it's true.
Or is it a treacle
pudding?
Treacle pudding. But I love the fact that it was Fred who was his trainer.
Oh no, I loved it so much.
It was like mano a mano. It's like he had to go to another guy. I mean, obviously, like it made sense, really, but also like, I'm sorry, but Peter's really cute. Like when he was doing all those workouts and push-ups, I mean,
Jen, no. Thanks.
I also loved no. I also loved all the scouts, like cheering them on, encouragement.
He was literally carrying them on a wheelbarrow, like running through Poplar, like doing all the weights and everything.
Tell you what, though, Sister Evangelina, she has got a ruthless. We know she's got a ruthless streak, but she looked really like she was enjoying watching him garden. I'll tell you what, though, she's not wrong, is she, Bex? Gardening.
No, it's not. It's hard work.
Gardening is hard work.
Every muscle aches.
Yeah, that's why my garden does not look good or produce much, because I am not doing the work that I need to do.
Absolutely the same. Mine is awful.
Also, wait, can I just say one thing that really like made me lol, but also made me just be like, oh men, you know, like, because Peter gets okay, now again, I don't know how much time is elapsing, like from the time that they say they're going to the time that he gets the letter that says he's not been approved until he does the physical exam, to the time that Chummy comes back, and then to the time that they actually leave. I have no idea if that's like 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. But what made me laugh is that he goes to Fred. He's like, look, Fred, I really need to like get my physical fitness up. He's like, you know, I'm not really one for like, you know, doing all this stuff. And Fred's like, you got it. I'm going to take care of you. Here you go. Boop, 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 boop. They do like a Rocky style sequence where he's like literally like carrying 100 children on his back, where he's like running upstairs doing 800 push-ups or whatever. And then by the end of the episode, which again, indiscriminately, potentially short period of time, he comes out, he's like, oh, I passed. I'm like, well, isn't that just so typical? Like literally men do like 4 walks and all of a sudden they've dropped 20 pounds and they have definable abs. I mean, I'm
so
like,
true.
I mean, truly, it's so infuriating, because I'm like, no woman on earth would be able to like work out 6 times and all of a sudden be able to like run a marathon and pass like some. Oh my God.
Yeah, but at the same time, in the 50s, she'd have to be doing the housework, doing all the washing. Oh, hang on, that sounds like my Sunday. Anyway, so yeah, no, I agree. It's really frustrating.
I just thought it was so funny because he was like, oh yeah, and then he jumps on the bike and he like cycles across town or whatever. Like, you know, I mean, anyways, I don't know. I thought that was so funny. I was like, wow, so typical of men to just be able to like, you know, do one thing and lose weight and like get all this physical fitness back.
So in this episode, my opinion of Sister Evangelina really changed as well.
Do tell.
So 3 things. When Chummy announced she was going to become a mission, is that right? Become a missionary. Yeah, missionary. Like you could see all the disappointment in the girls, and Sister Evangelina was disappointed as well. Also, like she was really caring towards Cynthia after the Kelly baby, and she got involved with training Peter.
Yeah.
So
I love Sister Evangelina.
So I think I feel like this is my turning point for Sister Evangelina.
Yeah.
I don't know when my turning point was, because obviously, you know, when you've watched something so many times, you kind of think like you did for the last series.
From the start.
Right. Yeah.
Well, obviously I didn't love her from the start because she was horrible. But so maybe it was around this episode, but I just loved her. I just love her. I just think she's so amazing.
The thing about Sister Evangelina is like, she is hard as nails. She will like go anywhere, do anything. She will like she will like criticize. She'll be the first one to tell you when you stepped over the line, but she will also be the first one to come to your defense and like fight anyone who would like try to come after you if it wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like she's absolutely one of the most salt of the earth, rock solid people. And I truly think that like, she's one of those rare people where once she loves you and cares about you, she will always love and care about you forever, and she will always do anything she can for you. And I think she's so great. I love her character. I love her too. No, and she was so gentle to Cynthia. Like,
hero and zeros of the week.
Bex, you go first.
Okay, so my zero is how quickly the community turned their back on Cynthia.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then my hero is the ending where Cynthia confidently answers the phone, midwife speaking. Because we see her journey.
I'm nodding. Just realised it's a podcast. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. We both emphatically 100% with you. Totally right. Love it.
Jen?
Oh gosh. Okay, I haven't even thought about this. Okay, zero.
Good prep there.
We're
renowned for it.
Zero. Okay, you know what? I wouldn't say this is a huge thing, but my irritation with Sister Monica Joan for like this false nobility. I don't like it. It really irritated me. I thought that was just really frustrating. And then my hero for the week. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna do like a they're together but two parts. The Cubs singing.
Oh, that was gonna be mine.
Oh, sorry. Well, but I'll just say like those little boys are so devoted to Chummy, and it is just it is never endingly not. It is just so sweet perennially. I love it. But
hang on 1 second. On that note, just remind me right at the very end to tell you a story about Jack. Carry on.
Okay. So, but then with that, I will say, I've had this experience before. I know a lot of people have had this experience before, but it takes a lot of bravery to like leave the place, leave a really comfortable situation and like go out in the world and do something that, is going to take a lot of like, bravery and courage to do. And the fact that Peter and Chummy decided to do it together, to go to Sierra Leone, where I'm assuming neither one of them has ever been before, but they both really want to try this adventure. To me, that's just so sweet and special. And they're just always going to be like an number one couple, but the fact that they did that as a married couple together and just took that leap of faith, heroes.
Okay, now I have a weird one. I've got a zero, which is Peter, for how he questions Cynthia.
Okay, yeah.
Fair.
Now my hero was going to be the Cubs, but no, my hero is going to be Peter. So it's duality. Cool.
Ooh!
For passing the physical on, let's be honest, he doesn't want to go to Sierra Leone. He does not want to leave these jam roly-polies and having a lovely time in Poplar. He just wants to stay exactly where he's never been out of London. He doesn't want to leave, but he's doing it because he loves Chummy and he's, the perfect husband doing whatever she wants, whatever. So for that, Peter gets both the zero and the hero.
Being a supportive spouse is the ultimate gift you can give. Okay.
Who dances with you, really slow dancing in the lounge.
Okay, you're going to tell us your story about Jack?
I have started my homework, which is reading Call the Midwife. Because I'm a good little girl and I am reading with Jennifer Wood. I am all about the, not only you two, Sister Monica Jones, not doing any of the uploading or the editing, but I do all that, everyone. I'm also now doing background research because that is just how I roll. These two just roll up. We're on my laptop that I record. Anyway, so I'm going a bit too far there.
Should we just go? Do you just not need us anymore? You just want us out of here?
Yeah, I think the listeners like that too. But anyway, so Jack, in real life, this is its true thing. So it's actually a truth that he was this kid who followed Chummy around. It's real, absolutely real. But in real life, he grew up to be a bodyguard. And can you guess who he was bodyguard for?
Miranda Hart.
No, she doesn't need a bodyguard.
Oh, the royal family.
Yes, but who in the royal family? not the Queen.
Ooh.
Margaret.
So he was
No,
a child.
wait.
Let's think about this. A child
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the 1950s.
Okay, so
I
he
think he
grew
was
up.
Princess Diana's bodyguard.
Oh, Diana would be good.
Boom, Becky. Boom.
Ah!
Yeah, she saw him on telly, and she was like, "I know that stance and that face and that proud look of protection anywhere." And there was Jack being Princess Diana's bodyguard. How amazing is that?
That is amazing.
Wow.
So my background research is adding to this.
It is. You know what? I wonder if she puts like photos and everything in the actual like the book that she published, because I would love to see a photo of the real Chummy, and I would love to see a photo of like the real Trixie or any of those.
I'll have a look.
Well, let's ask Alex. Are there photographs in the physical book, or
yeah, Alex,
are you
what about
listening
that?
to it on audio?
Are you trying to criticize me for listening to a book on audio when you've not even thought about listening to a book?
That is not true. I've looked at how much it cost to buy it on Amazon.
I think you'll find I did an Audible free trial. Take that, Audible. So yeah, but I'm going to carry on with Audible, I think, because it's so good. So
it is really good. It is really good. Well, we all have the assignment to read the books, and then we're going to do a big thing about it. So
I was going to get it from the library as well, actually, Beck. So
yeah. Oh, the library. Would be a good place. You know what? I actually don't know that my library has it, but that's a me problem, not a world problem, because of where I am physically, I think.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's
other books in the series as well, and there's some about workhouses, which explains a lot, because I was like, I wonder if they've done loads of research on workhouses. Yes, they have.
I thought there was only 3 books that she wrote. 3?
No, I don't know.
Why do we always do this? Make ourselves look thick.
Well, maybe someone should edit out only the stupid parts, and then we'll all look a lot smarter.
It's funnier. Right. Anyway, ladies.
Okay. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, so if you can watch series 2, episode 3, and then listen along, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, just so you know what we're going on about, really. But thank you very much for listening.
Rate, review, get in touch.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of that stuff.
Yeah.
And look at the show notes. Okay.
Bye.